Steve Harvey had interviewed thousands of families, heard countless stories, and thought he'd seen every possible surprise Family Feud could deliver. But nothing could have prepared him for the moment when a simple phone call would reveal a secret 23 years in the making and unite a father and daughter who never knew each other existed. The Johnson family from Ohio was having the game of their lives. Marcus Johnson, 45 years old and a high school basketball coach, stood at the center position, radiating the same energy that made him beloved by his players. His family, wife Patricia, his mother Dorothy, brother Keith, and teenage son Marcus Jr., were up by 120 points against the Williams family from Nevada. "All right, Johnson family," Steve said with his trademark grin. "You're one good answer away from going to Fast Money. The category is things that change your life forever. Marcus, you're up against Williams family captain. First, to buzz in, gets to play." Steve read the question. Name something that can change your life with one phone call. Marcus hit the buzzer first. "A job offer, Steve. Show me job offer," Steve called out. The board lit up. Number 2 answer, 31 points. The Johnson family erupted in celebration, high-fiving and hugging. They'd secured their spot in Fast Money. But as the applause died down and they prepared to select who would play, Marcus's phone began ringing from his pocket. The ringtone was the ESPN theme. Marcus was such a sports fanatic that his family constantly teased him about it. His face flushed with embarrassment as he scrambled to silence it. "Man, I'm sorry, Mr. Harvey," Marcus said, fumbling with his phone. "I know phones are supposed to be off. I thought I had it on silent for sure." Steve waved it off good-naturedly. "It happens, man. Although with that ESPN ringtone, I'm guessing that's either LeBron calling to join your high school team or you forgot to turn off your score alerts." The audience laughed. But Marcus had frozen, staring at his phone screen. The color drained from his face. "Marcus?" his wife Patricia asked, concerned. "What's wrong?" It's an Australia number," Marcus said slowly. "International call. I don't know anyone in Australia." Something in his expression made Steve pause. After years of hosting, he'd developed an instinct for moments that mattered. "You know what, Marcus? Answer it. Something tells me this might be important." Marcus looked uncertain but accepted the call, his hand visibly trembling. "Hello?" "Hello." A young woman's voice came through, clear despite the distance, with a slight Australian accent. "Is this Marcus Johnson?" Marcus Anthony Johnson, who attended University of Michigan from 1994 to 98? "Yes, this is Marcus," he replied, his confusion evident. "Who is this?" There was a pause. Then, "My name is Jasmine. Jasmine Chen. I'm 23 years old. And I think you might be my father." The studio went absolutely silent. Patricia's hand flew to her mouth. Marcus's mother Dorothy grabbed Keith's arm. Marcus himself seemed frozen, unable to process what he'd just heard. What? I don't understand," Marcus managed to say. Steve gently took Marcus's arm and guided him to sit on the steps of the Family Feud set, then held the microphone close so everyone could hear. Jasmine's voice continued, nervous but determined. "My mother was Weilin Chen. You knew her as Linda. She was an exchange student from Taiwan at University of Michigan. You dated for about 6 months in 1996. Marcus's eyes widened with recognition. "Linda. Oh my God, Linda. She was in my economics class. We did date, but she went back to Taiwan after the semester ended. She said her student visa wasn't renewed and her father was sick. I tried to write, but I never heard back. I always wondered what happened to her." "She was pregnant," Jasmine said softly. "With me. She didn't know until after she was back in Taiwan. Her parents were very traditional. They were already upset about her dating someone who wasn't Chinese. When they found out about the pregnancy, they forbade her from contacting you. They moved the family to Australia when I was 2. Patricia had moved to sit beside her husband, taking his hand supportively. The entire studio seemed to be holding its breath. But why? Why didn't she ever? Marcus couldn't finish the sentence. She tried, Jasmine said, and they could hear tears in her voice. I found letters she wrote to you but never sent. Dozens of them. She kept newspaper clippings of your basketball career at Michigan, your coaching awards. She followed your life from across the world. She passed away 5 years ago, Gaia, cancer, but before she died, she told me about you. She made me promise to wait until I finished university to look for you. She didn't want to disrupt your life, but she wanted me to have the choice to know you. Marcus was openly crying now, and he wasn't alone. Steve had to remove his glasses to wipe his eyes. The audience was filled with sniffles and tears. Jasmine, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. I had no idea. If I had known. I know, Jasmine said quickly. Mom made that very clear. She never blamed you. She said you were kind and funny, and that you talked about wanting to be a teacher and coach kids. She was so proud when she read you'd become exactly that. She said, I got my love of sports from you. You play sports? Marcus asked, a smile breaking through his tears. Basketball. Jasmine laughed through her own tears. I played for University of Sydney. Point guard. Mom used to joke that it was genetic destiny. The audience gave a collective, Marcus's son, Marcus Jr., who was 16, stepped forward. Dad? Does this mean I have a sister? Marcus looked at his son, then at his wife. Patricia, tears streaming down her face, nodded encouragingly.
Yes, son. You have a sister.
Where are you now, Jasmine? Patricia asked, taking the phone gently. Where are you calling from? I'm in Melbourne. I work for a sports marketing firm. I wasn't even sure I should call. I've had your number for months. But today, I was having lunch and the TV was showing Family Feud. We get it here on delay. And they were promoting that the Johnson family from Ohio would be on, and there was your picture, and I knew it was now or never. Steve stepped forward. Jasmine, this is Steve Harvey. I'm here with your father and his family. Let me ask you something. How quickly can you get to Los Angeles? I'm sorry, what? Jasmine sounded shocked. I asked how quickly you can get here. Because I think it's time you met your father in person, don't you? Marcus stood up suddenly. Steve, no, that's too much. We can't ask. We're not asking. Steve interrupted. Family Feud is handling this. Our travel coordinator is already pulling up flights. Jasmine, there's a flight leaving Melbourne in 4 hours. Can you make it? Yes. But I can't afford. Already taken care of, Steve said firmly. You'll land at LAX tomorrow morning. We'll have a car waiting to bring you straight to the studio. The studio erupted in applause. Marcus was overwhelmed, Patricia holding him as he processed everything. But Steve wasn't done. Marcus, tell me something. What would Linda think about this moment? Marcus wiped his eyes, thinking. She was the kindest person I ever met. She used to talk about fate, about how the universe brings people together when they're meant to meet. She'd probably say this was exactly how it was supposed to happen. And what do you want to say to Jasmine right now? Marcus took the phone back, his voice stronger. Jasmine, I want you to know that you are loved, even when I didn't know you existed. And I want to know everything about your life, your dreams, what makes you laugh, what your favorite team is. I want to make up for 23 years, if you'll let me. I'd like that, Jasmine said, crying openly now. I'd really like that. And for the record, Michigan basketball, all the way. Mom made sure of that. The studio laughed through tears. Even the competing Williams family was crying and clapping. Jasmine, Patricia added, I want you to know you're welcome in our family. Marcus Jr. is going to be thrilled to have a big sister. And I'm just honored to meet Linda's daughter. Steve turned to the cameras. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do something special. The Johnson family is going to fast money, but we're postponing it until tomorrow so the whole family can play together. Jasmine, you're going to be here for it. The next morning, the studio was electric with anticipation. When Jasmine Chen walked onto the Family Feud stage, the resemblance was undeniable. She had Marcus's height, his athletic build, and when she smiled, it was his smile. But her eyes, her grace, that was all Linda. Marcus met her at center stage. For a moment, they just looked at each other, 23 years of absence hanging between them. Then Jasmine said, "Hi, Dad." And Marcus pulled her into an embrace that brought the entire studio to tears again. "My baby girl," Marcus whispered. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there." "You're here now," Jasmine replied. "That's what matters." The reunion continued, with Patricia hugging Jasmine, Marcus Jr. excitedly asking about her basketball career, and Dorothy proclaiming she'd always wanted a granddaughter. They spent an hour before taping resumed, looking at photos on Jasmine's phone, Linda through the years, Jasmine growing up, basketball championships, university graduation. "Mom kept everything about you." Jasmine showed them a photo. "Look, she framed your college basketball jersey. It was in our living room my whole life." When it came time to play fast money, Steve made another unprecedented decision. "You know what? Jasmine's gonna play. She's family now." They won $20,000, but that seemed almost beside the point. The real victory was in the connections being forged, the family expanding, the love multiplying. During the celebration, Jasmine pulled out something from her bag. "I brought this for you," she told Marcus. It was a leather journal, worn with age. "Mom's letters to you, the ones she never sent. I thought, maybe you'd want to read them." Marcus held the journal like it was made of gold. Later, he would read Linda's words, her fear, her love, her pride in their daughter, her regret for the silence. But in that moment, he just held his daughter again. Steve asked Jasmine about her plans. "I have 2 weeks of vacation saved up. I was thinking, if it's okay, maybe I could stay, get to know everyone." "2 weeks?" Patricia said. "How about you stay as long as you want? We've got 23 years to catch up on." The episode became Family Feud's most watched ever. But more importantly, it sparked conversations about connection, family, and the bonds that DNA creates, but love solidifies. Letters poured in from people who'd been inspired to search for lost family members, to reach out across old silences, to take chances on connection. 6 months later, Jasmine moved to Ohio. She'd been offered a job with the Cleveland Cavaliers marketing department. A coincidence that had Steve Harvey's fingerprints all over it. She became assistant coach for Marcus Jr.'s high school team, bringing her Australian training techniques that revolutionized their defense. At Marcus and Patricia's 25th wedding anniversary party, Jasmine gave a speech that left no dry eyes. "My mother used to tell me that family isn't just about blood. It's about choosing to love, choosing to show up, choosing to make room at the table. Thank you for making room for me at yours." Marcus responded by presenting Jasmine with a gift, a custom Wolverines jersey with Johnson on the back. "Your mom made sure you were a Michigan fan. Figured it was time you had the right name on your jersey." Today, Jasmine Johnson, she legally added the name, is part of every Johnson family gathering. She and Marcus have a standing Tuesday dinner date where they talk about everything and nothing. She's teaching Patricia to make Linda's spring rolls. Marcus Jr. tells everyone about his amazing sister who played pro basketball in Australia. And in Marcus's office, next to his coaching awards and team photos, sits a framed picture from that Family Feud episode. The moment he first hugged the daughter he never knew existed. Below it, a plaque with Linda Chen's favorite quote, which Jasmine had shared. "Fate brings people together, but love makes them family." Steve Harvey still talks about that episode. "In all my years of television, I've never seen anything like it. A young woman halfway around the world, carrying her mother's secret and her father's DNA, choosing the exact moment to reach out, and a family with hearts big enough to immediately embrace her. That's not coincidence. That's not luck. That's the universe saying, it's time." The Johnson family still watches Family Feud together. All of them, including Jasmine. Sometimes she tells stories about watching it in Australia, never imagining she'd one day be on stage meeting her father. Sometimes Marcus talks about Linda, sharing memories with the daughter who carries her spirit. But mostly, they just enjoy being together. A family that was always meant to be whole, finally complete. All because of a phone call that came at exactly the right moment. On a game show where the biggest prize turned out to be love, connection, and a second chance at being the father Marcus always would have been, if only he'd known.